Who did Zuko marry? Who was Izumi's mother? Well, in the Avatar universe, there is one single name that might quietly confirm who Zuko married, and almost nobody caught it. The creators never said it in an interview, and it was never spelled out in the comics. And the Legend of Korra completely dodged the question. But if you know what the name actually means and where it comes from, the answer has been sitting right in front of us for over a decade. Today we're breaking down the 4 theories about who Zuko ended up with, and by the end of the video, one of them is going to feel undeniable. So hit that sub button and let's get into it. So let's set the stage a bit with the canonical content after the series. So we know that Zuko's love life is kind of a mess. During the original series, his main romantic relationship was with Mai, a knife-throwing noblewoman from the Fire Nation who had apparently been crushing on him since they were kids. They got together at the start of book 3 and stayed together through the finale, with Mai famously telling him to never break up with her again. So far so good. Well, in the comics that followed the show, things got pretty complicated. Zuko started secretly visiting his imprisoned father Ozai for advice on how to be Fire Lord, and when Mai found out he'd been hiding all of that from her, she was furious. She broke things off with him and eventually started dating another guy named Kilo. By the end of these comic arcs, Mai had actually broken up with Kilo, and there were hints that she still had feelings with Zuko for Zuko, but the two of them never officially got back together on the page. And because of this has left a big mystery in the Avatar fandom for all these years. Did they ever get back together? Well, the trail goes cold. We then can jump ahead 70 years to the Legend of Korra, and Zuko is an old man with a daughter running the Fire Nation instead of him. So now that we know that, let's break down the canonical facts on who the mother of Izumi may be. So the first and most popular theory is the most obvious one, and that is Mai. Even though the comics left their relationship in an ambiguous place, there's a mountain of circumstantial evidence pointing in her direction. For starters, Izumi's physical appearance in Korra bears a strong resemblance to Mai, with similar facial features and a composed, serious demeanor that feels very on brand for Mai's daughter. I mean, come on, they look exactly the same in some of these shots. But the real piece of evidence that we can latch onto is the name itself. Izumi is a Japanese word that translates to fountain or spring. And if you've been paying close attention to the show and its supplementary material, you'll remember the scene where the childhood flashback takes place, and we can see Zuko and Mai, they had a significant moment together at a fountain when they were kids. The idea that Zuko would name his daughter after the place tied to one of his earliest memories with Mai is the kind of quiet, sentimental detail that really fits his character perfectly, especially after going on his redemption arc. And just to add some backing to why the name Izumi would have significance, as we know, the Fire Nation is based off of Japan, just like all the other 3 nations are based off other countries in the world, like the Earth Kingdom being based on China, the Water Tribes being based on the Inuit cultures. So it makes sense that Izumi is coming from Japanese language, so we can look to the Japanese language for meaning, and it means fountain. And just to add some even further evidence, Michael Dante DiMartino, one of the creators of the show, and Brian Konietzko have both hinted in fan interactions over the years that Zuko did indeed end up with Mai, although they've never actually made it explicit in any official canonical storyline, whether that be in the comics, the graphic novels, the novels themselves, or obviously in the animated shows. We may get some evidence for it in the Avatar Aang movie, which is coming out very soon, but until then, they actually haven't confirmed it, but they've strongly hinted at it. So most of the fan base considers this theory to be the most likely by quite a comfortable margin. And that leads us straight into the second theory. And this one's a bit of a dark horse. This one involves Suki, the leader of the Kyoshi warriors. Now, before you say that Suki was Sokka's girlfriend, hear me out, because the timeline actually leaves room for this. In the comics to take place after the show, Suki and the Kyoshi warriors were assigned to serve as Zuko's personal bodyguards after multiple assassination attempts on his life. During that time, the two of them developed a genuinely warm and trusting friendship. There are scenes in the comic where Suki is the one staying up late to check on Zuko, consoling him when he's struggling with the weight of being the Fire Lord, and even defending his decisions to other members of Team Avatar when they questioned him. And there's also a really weird panel where it kind of looks like Suki is confessing her love for Zuko in this panel, but that's obviously not canon, and the writer has been questioned about it, but we haven't actually got a response back about that, so I'll let you make a judgment on that. It's pretty weird. Meanwhile, during this time, his relationship with Mai was actually falling apart in real time. It actually gets interesting from a timeline perspective because the Legend of Korra never actually confirms what happened to Sokka and Suki's relationship. We know Sokka passed away at some point before Korra's story begins, and Suki is never mentioned at all in the sequel series, except for showing up in a very small piece of art right at the start of the series. But that's not actually diegetic in scene in universe. The characters don't actually see that. That's just for us. On top of that, there's actually no confirmation that Sokka and Suki had kids, married, or anything. Some fans have taken that silence and combined it with the closeness between Zuko and Suki in the comics to build a theory that after both relationships ended, Zuko and Suki found their way to each other and they ended up going from there and having kids. It's a stretch for sure, but it requires you to accept that Sokka and Suki didn't work out, and that's why most people don't like this theory, despite the fact that it does actually have some shred of canonical evidence. But the emotional groundwork between Suki and Zuko in those comics are very substantial, and if they wanted to go that route in the future, the groundwork's already been done. It certainly is possible. It wouldn't be out of character and it wouldn't be out of the blue. So this one is actually a very interesting theory. What do you think about it? And that leads us straight into theory 3, Katara. Alright, this third theory is the spicy one, and we absolutely have to talk about it because it simply won't go away. No matter how many years pass, it just has not gone away. Now, let me be very clear up front. Katara married Aang. That is confirmed in canon, and there's nothing that can change that. They had 3 children together and stayed together until Aang died. So for this theory to work, you'd have to believe that either something happened between Zuko and Katara before she married Aang, or after Aang's passing, the two of them reconnected. And look, as wild as it sounds, the reason that this theory persists is because the show itself kept teasing it. The writers gave Zuko and Katara an incredibly charged dynamic throughout the series, from their encounter in the Crystal Catacombs where Katara offered to heal his scar, to the entire Southern Raiders episode where Zuko was the only person willing to help Katara confront the man who killed her mother. And there's even a note in the official Avatar Extra show that Zuko was originally going to be written as a love interest for Katara before the creators changed direction and obviously went with Katang. Now, some of the show's own writers, including head writer Aaron Ehas, have made comments over the years suggesting that there were genuine internal discussions about making the Zutara the endgame pairing in later material in the comics. So while this theory doesn't really hold up against the established canon, there are some gaps where it could fit in. It really shouldn't be done. It would be thematically disastrous. Although it would make a lot of people online happy, I don't think it would really fit the themes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I don't think this theory can work, despite there being a very, very small eye of a needle gap where it could actually happen. And that leads us to the final theory. The fourth and final theory is honestly the most frustrating one, but it might also be the most realistic. What if Zuko just married someone that we've simply never been introduced to, either on screen or in the comics or in the novels? Avatar is a massive world with millions of people on it, and there is absolutely no rule that says Zuko has to end up with someone from the original cut. I also include Jin here in this category, and the only reason she's here and not a whole section to herself is because the writers have pretty much confirmed that Jin isn't the mother of Izumi in many pieces of their communication with the fandom. So I'm including her here. There is a small possibility, and it would be awesome if it was the case, but I don't think the writers want to put Zuko with a commoner in just because he's a royal member of the royal family. Therefore, Jin goes here. He became Fire Lord in his teenage years and ruled for decades. During that time, he would have interacted with diplomats, nobles, leaders, and countless other people from across the 4 nations. It's entirely possible that he met someone during those years of governance who we, as an audience, simply have never seen. The show and its sequel material have done this before with other characters like Toph's children, Lin and Suyin, having 2 different fathers, although one of them could actually be Sokka, but let's not go into that. But we know one is named Kanto, and he was never seen in the original series or in any of the supplementary material around when the series came out. So there's no reason why they wouldn't do the same with Zuko. They've left Toph's life a partial mystery, so why wouldn't they do the same for Zuko? And honestly, from a storytelling perspective, introducing a completely new character as Izumi's mother in some future Avatar project could actually be a really compelling narrative choice, and it could actually lay the groundwork for a nice new series. One that's not part of the Avatar series like Air, Water, and Earth like we're going to get with Aang, Korra, and the Seven Havens. It could be something completely off the beaten path and more of a character study into the life of Zuko after he took the throne of the Fire Nation. So I'm going to put this one at the second most likely. I'm going to put obviously the most likely being May. The third most likely I'm going to put as Suki, and for the last most likely, the least likely, is obviously Katara. At the end of the day, the answer to who Zuko married is almost certainly May, and the name Izumi is probably the quiet confirmation that the creators gave us without ever saying it out loud. Izumi means fountain. Zuko and May had a moment at the fountain. So if you enjoyed and want to see more Avatar theories just like this, hit that sub button, and if you made it this far, drop a thank you Mr. Zuko in the comments down below.